Hey everyone, what's going on? Thank you so much for taking your own time out firstly to check out this review, and if you're brand new here, please feel free to hit that red subscribe button so you can join me on this journey and check out further reviews in the future. And if you're coming back to the channel, thank you so much once again for your support. So today I'm here to talk about a very special movie that is coming on Amazon Prime on February 28th and is the feature debut of Oscar Wenman-Hyde, and that movie is called Cycles. So if you've never heard about this movie, let me tell you all about it. I want to give a special shout out to two individuals. The first one is Anthony A. Perez for being an awesome person in general, but also for passing my contact details on to Oscar. The second person is Oscar himself, because Oscar did then reach out to me on Instagram and told me all about his movie, give me a bit of a backstory about the production, which I'm going to get into, and also asked me if I want to check out this movie early. So I was like, well, hell yeah I do, and see what it's all around, because if you know me and my channel, I've interviewed quite a few people now who has been first time directors, or they've been actors before, or they've maybe just done some production work. I love talking to anyone about film, and especially about the making of it or what goes into a performance. That very much intrigues me. So this movie definitely had me intrigued. So what is Cycles all about? The plot of Cycles is all around an apprehensive young man who moves into university halls, and a sudden feeling of isolation forces him into an argument with his older brother about identity, love, and the repression of dreams. So the cast involved in this movie is two people. We've got Henry Fisk, who makes his acting debut as credited as the younger brother. And we've also got Henry Wilson, who's credited as the older brother, and he's actually worked with Oscar Wenman-Hyde before on a project. Now, the writer in this movie is also Oscar Wenman-Hyde, who also does cinematography and production and directing, but we've also got another writer of Cameron Fox as well. So just before I go into my thoughts, I do have to give a big warning for anyone who is going through any mental health problems at the moment, because this film does tackle that a lot, and I don't want anything like this to possibly trigger you if you're intrigued to check out this movie. But what are my positives and overall thoughts of this movie? Well, I think it was wonderfully made. I really do admire the craftsmanship that is on work in this film, because just to give you guys a bit of a backstory, this movie was made for under £1,000, which is a very extremely low budget, and was also shot in around 5 days in Bristol, basically set in one location. So firstly, the cinematography and the wider shots of the outside of this building are beautiful. It really gives you this feeling vibe, and especially the first kind of 2 minutes of this movie before we get our characters walking along into the scene, we get this kind of beautiful shot of Bristol, and just the way the cinematography is captured even in this one small tiny room of University Hall where it's set is masterfully done for what the budget was given. I really can't commend Oscar Wenman-Hyde for that enough. Felt like this movie had a lot of emotional weight to it, especially regarding the subject matter of mental health and how journeys in life can change and how things can happen in a family and how all this builds up and then kind of can come to fruition one day where you have a conversation about it, whether that's a good conversation or whether it's not. So one thing that I actually really admire is that our two actors of Henry Fisk and Henry Wilson, I think overall they give a solid performance. I really love the subtleties also throughout this. When one of the brothers is talking and see if the other brother is feeling a bit lonely or has anxiety, you can kind of see like the fingers twitching a little bit like that towards the side of them. And at first I was thinking, is it just a case of that maybe this actor's nervous? But no, it's actually kind of panned in on throughout the movie, and it's clearly just a subtlety to show that that character is feeling very anxious at that said moment, very kind of secluded in their own thoughts. It's really well done, and throughout this entire runtime of 1 hour 4 minutes to 1 hour 7 minutes, including the end credits, you can really feel this kind of rich history of these two brothers. They talk about their mum a lot and their family life and the pressures of what they've had when growing up, and the younger brother feels like he has a huge weight on his shoulders with the expectations and the life that the older brother has lived, and he feels like he's having some of that burden and that's been passed down onto him now to do really well and have this path in university. But what if he doesn't really want to be at university. It definitely tackles a lot of different emotions, and I really respect that about this film, because being honest with you guys, when I left school, I did go to study to be a chef for 2 years, and then after that, I've just worked my entire life since then. For me, I never went to university, but I can't imagine how hard it is for someone who maybe is facing university and being in halls and maybe moving out of their family house for the first ever time. It's a lot of independency that you are putting on that individual, and they can either really relish that, or they can really suffer under the pressure and maybe have some pressure put onto themselves, and they feel like it could be not working out for them, or they feel like there could be too much on their plate to handle. So I think that was executed really well in the message that this film brought home. What I also admired about this movie is the fact that you can tell that these two brothers, throughout their stories and just their dialogue, is they've had great moments in the past. They've had moments where they maybe haven't had such great moments. So wrapping up my positives, what I will say is that the movie is shot beautifully. The way that the execution is used on a very small budget is an achievement in itself, and the fact that Oscar Mayer Hyde is going to be able to get this movie on Amazon Prime is just such an incredible achievement overall. And the acting is beautifully done by our two characters, who are carrying a lot of weight on their shoulders to carry this dialogue heavy movie. The message overall about what this film is trying to put onto you about going for your dreams. Do not have these feelings of loneliness, or if you are, try talk to someone about it if you're able to, and not let it build up inside of you, and maybe you can learn to grow from it and become a better person overall. I don't really have many negatives with this movie at all. I would have loved to have seen what Oscar Hyde would have been able to do with a bigger budget. So if I was to pick any negatives with the movie at all, to be honest, I don't really have many, because I would love to have seen what Oscar Hyde would have done with this movie if he had a bigger budget and a bigger production value to maybe add more into it, or what other ideas he may have had added into this story. The only warning I can give you is if you're going through any kind of mental health or any kind of personal issues at this moment in time, maybe I wouldn't recommend checking out this movie right away, because it's a very sensitive subject and I don't want it to kind of trigger anyone. So my overall score for Cycles is... In the meantime, please also give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. And until the next time that I see you, I'll be seeing you later.